everyone. Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome. Dr. Liz Lasky coming at you. I love seeing where everyone is in the chat. We have people, Brampton, Ontario. Oh my gosh, Jackie. I was born right near there. All right, give it up, Canada, Maryland, Colorado, Nova Scotia. We got Canadians in the house. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited to have you over at my house today. Welcome. Come on in, sit right down, get a blanket, a cup of tea, snuggle up. I am rested. I am hydrated. My baby's sleeping in his crib in the room next door. I am ready to rock and roll. So watch out, Pessy. Okay, here we go. I know we only have an hour together today. I am so excited for this hour. I don't know if you can tell from my vibe, but we are talking about my favorite topic, which is coaching, and more specifically, bringing coaching and helping professions together. So let's just do it. Let's just jump in, folks. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I got a lot of goodies coming for you today. And I'm just jumping right into our presenter mode. I know that a lot of you are here and you know how to use the chat. If you don't get well acquainted with this chat button, because we are going to be using our chat today. So I am so excited to welcome you to the chat. And of course, we have our Q&As, our Q&A section also geared up. And I already see some questions coming in. I'm going to get to that too. Hopefully, we're going to get to have a nice, lively conversation going together, and I'll get to answer all of the questions that you have for me today. I want to alert you to one important thing. We have our new best friend, Tabby, who's helping us out from Pessy. Hello, Tabby. Thank you so much for joining us today. She is putting something really important for you in the chat. There is a worksheet that we're using today. So Tabby, hit the chat with that worksheet a couple times so everybody can get that worksheet. Go ahead and download it. By the way, if you want the worksheet and it's helpful, awesome. If you hate it and it's a piece of garbage, throw it out. It's cool. It's just there for you. If you can use it and you want to use it, it's yours. So we're going to drop that in the chat and you can follow along. Now, like I said, let's rock and roll. Of course, welcome to everybody here. Now, if you're here, you are probably one of those people who's here and you're wondering, can I coach? Am I even allowed to coach? What are the similarities? What are the differences between therapy and coaching? Can I be a therapist? Can I be also a coach? Can I just be a therapist and maybe use little pieces of coaching in some of my modalities? Or do I need a license to be a coach? Who is even regulating coaching? Who's in charge of that whole shebang? Now, I heard I could make a lot of money. Is that true? Can I make bank as a coach? Can I make cash? What about insurance? What, right? If you are wondering one of these things, come in close. I got you. You're in the right place. Okay. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Okay. And I got your back. I know exactly how to get you to the next piece. And hopefully you will feel a bit more at ease and we can answer some of those questions around coaching and therapy. So this is what we're doing today. This is what we've signed on for, folks. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about what is coaching. We're going to talk about that ethical piece, helping professionals in coaching. We're going to talk about the practical piece. I'm going to tell you the very first place to start, which is mindset. We're going to dive into that. I am going to show you how to start right now. If you want to start this second right now, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm also going to show you what's next, how to use what we've used today and learned today, and what we're going to do that next. Now, I know one of these things says how to start right now. And if you're like me, you are like, okay, yeah, how do I start right now? Let's get going, Liz. No problem. Now, you'll see on this slide on the bottom left, oops, let's go back one sec. On the bottom left, there's a QR code. You can scan that. There is something there for you, 101 coaching questions. We can talk about it later. But if you're excited like I am and you want to jump in, go ahead and scan that. You can start right now. Okay, so hello, meet your new professor. I'm so glad to have you here in my class. I'm going to do a quick rundown of who I am, why I'm here, and what I'm up to. So like I said, I am Dr. Liz Lasky. I am a social worker. I'm a licensed social worker in New York City, and I am also a PhD in social welfare. I'm an adjunct professor at Fordham University here in New York. I teach advanced practice there. And I'm also a certified coach. My coaching certification comes from New York University, and I'm a credentialed coach from the International Coach Federation. I'm also a very, very proud fellow of the Institute of Coaching at Harvard University. And I have some articles published about coaching. I have a book of my own. I also have a school called the Coach Training Program for Helping Professionals, where I teach people exactly like you how to coach and how to coach it, how to coach ethically. I live 24/7 at lizlasky.com. Come on over, hang out with me whenever you want. I want to share with you a little bit of the Get What You Want method, okay? The Get What You Want method is a method that I created when I first started getting into coaching. Now, I'll tell you a very quick snippet of how I got into coaching. Now, I don't know about you, but for me as a social worker, and for many of us helping professionals, when we're first starting our studies, many programs say that they would like you to go into treatment yourself, so you could have that experience of what it's like to be on the other side of the couch, so to speak. So every Friday, I would go to a therapist's office on the Upper West Side of Manhattan at 4:00 every Friday. Because if I do one thing well, it's school. Okay, so they told me to go into treatment. Oh, I was running there. Okay, so I go, like I said, every Friday at 4 p.m. And you'll tell me if you've ever had an experience like this, but every single time when I left that room, I felt worse than when I got there, right? Maybe you've had that experience. Maybe your clients have been having that experience, but every single week, I felt like I was looking for a problem that I didn't have. That felt terrible because I thought to myself, oh man, I'm so messed up. I can't even find the problem I'm supposed to have, right? So every Friday I would go there looking for this problem. And by the way, it wasn't to say life was perfect. I was a young 20-something single in Manhattan, was working full-time as a social worker in the Bronx. Like I said, did I say I was single? I might have. I was single. I was in school full-time. I mean, I had a lot going on, plus family, relationships, all of those types of things. So it would have made sense for me to get something out of my Fridays at 4:00, but it wasn't working. And I was in the best place in the world to go and have fun and explore and learn new things, New York City, right? It was the best place to be. And I came across coaching. I joined a coaching group and it changed my life. Now, I drank the Kool-Aid fast and in bulk. I read everything I could. I went to all of the conferences. I learned every single thing that I could about coaching. And I started not only being coached, but sprinkling in some of what I was learning into my own practice. I worked for 15 years in New York City schools as a social worker. And I was starting to see what was going on with my, with my clients and their response and all of those types of things to coaching. So this is what I came up from. By the way, I have my eyes on the chat. Thank you so much for helping each other out. If the QR code is too small or something is not working for you, someone said sideways works. All you're doing is going to drliz.coach. I'm going to put it back in here in the chat. Thank you. Oops. We have drliz.coach, 101 questions. Thank you, Sadia. Keep that coming. You're helping us out. Thank you so much. What a nice group. What a nice group helping each other, huh? Okay, here we go. I'll keep putting in the chat so you guys can grab it. So this is my method. This is how I came to coach others. I set people up to help them create their vision and figure out what they actually wanted. This is why I call it the get what you want method. So we establish a vision, we assess where they are in that moment, and then in order to get what we want, we have to shift the mindset and we have to jump into action. Then we get to see if we actually got what we wanted. If we did, great, you're off to the races. If you didn't, no problem. We get to assess again, see where we can upgrade a little bit, and see if there are any ways that we can tweak what we're already doing. So this is the method I still use today. When anyone comes to see me today, we start with a vision, we start with the assessment. Now, this is so simple, but listen to me very clearly, and you can write this down. This is simple. It may not be easy. It's simple, but it may not be easy, right? And with all of this, I did a lot of writing, a lot of studying about it. This is my book on the right called Get What You Want. It is sold at a very small boutique bookshop called Amazon. Maybe you've heard of it, Amazon. And it really puts together a lot of what I think and a lot of the kinds of work that I do. But enough about me. Let's get to you. We got to jump in today to figure out what we need to know. But before we do that, let's take one big breath together, one big breath out. And I want you to take a very close look at the slide here and tell me, put it in the chat, on a scale of 1 to cat, how are you feeling today? Are you a number 1? Are you feeling number 5? Are you a number 9? Maybe a number 8. Go ahead and put in the chat. How are you feeling today? 3 is very popular. Oh no, we'll help you if you're 3. Oh my gosh, the 4. The 4 cracks me up. I love it when I do something for people at work and they pick a 4 and I always think, ooh, you're feeling like number 4 at work. All right, I see you. Love it. Oh, thank you so much for playing along with me. Oh, we got a mix, a 3, 4, and a 9. Love it. Thank you so much for playing with me. I love these kinds of things. I think it just gives us all a little smile. I hope it gives you a smile. And now let's get down to what we came here for. Okay, so we can even ask ourselves the question, what are we even doing here, right? Well, I believe that coaching skills can be used in clinical practice. It's my belief. I know it to be true. I've seen it happen. And we all know that the world has changed. You don't need me to tell you that. You've been around for the last 2 years. You've seen the change, right? Now, I want to say this, and I want to be really clear about it. We're still going through it personally and professionally. Our professions, our industry, the helping professions, have been hit so hard. And I know, because I've seen it happen, I know that coaching can help. Now, I also want to be very clear about this. There is a time and a place for everything. I am not here to say that coaching is better than therapy. I am not here to say that coaching should replace therapy. I'm not saying any of that. I think we need both. We need coaching and we need therapy, and there's a time and place for both. Remember that. I also want to say one of the reasons I think coaching is so great is that it is suited for a time like this. It is perfectly suited for a time when the future is unknown and we don't know what is going to be happening coming up. And we also want people to be able to get up and have sustainable change when they want to, and to know those skills and to be able to call on those skills when they want to. And, you know, it's for us too. It's for people like us. We need people to get up every day so they can get up, they can go to work, they can put breakfast on the table for their kids, walk the dog, and keep it moving. So today we're going to be able to start planting seeds around the question, should I pursue coaching? And like I said, we're talking about ethics, we're talking about practical matters. And like I said, you can walk away with your list of how to start coaching even right now. So I even see something in the chat. Can you just define coaching first? You got it, Casey. Here we go. This is what we're going to do together. Okay. We are going to answer this question together. Now, I want you to listen to my instructions, okay? You are going to do one of two things. You're going to open a new tab and you're going to menti.com. Or feel free to use this QR code, scan it for yourself, and you can go there that way. But go to menti.com. And when you get to menti.com, this is what you're going to do. It's going to look like this. It's going to say, enter your code. The code for you is 68351119. Again, I'm going to say it out loud. It's 68351119. You're going to menti.com, menti.com, 68351119. Thank you, Tabby. She jumped it in the chat for us. You're going to go ahead and click submit. And I am going to do my magic over here. And I'm going to show you exactly what this group is creating together. Now, once you have your stuff in the chat, once you not in the chat, once you start putting in your answers, it is going to show up here in our big group think of what is coaching. Okay, we got a bunch of answers coming in. Everything you see on your screen right now is live. It is coming from our group. We have hundreds of people with us today, and this is the ultimate group think, right? We are putting in all of what we know because, by the way, we know a lot already about what it means to coach, what it means to help other people. And something cool you can see in our dynamic art experience that we're having now is the bigger the word means the more people wrote it. So we have a couple words that are showing up in the beginning. And by the way, if you can't join us on menti.com, go ahead and put your words in the chat. Don't worry about it. I see everything. I see assisting with goals, solution focused, pragmatic, inspiration. I see it. Let's take another 60 seconds to see what comes up in our word web. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, I love what I'm seeing here. We have such incredible words. Okay, so we can see the bigger words are in the middle and they're moving around a little bit. We got 300 now, 381 people, 86, 390, almost 400 people joining us on this word web alone, not including the people who are joining us in the chat. And we can see we're already having some themes emerge in our word web. We have support, we have guidance, we have encouragement, we have accountability, we have supporting, mentoring, help. We have mentoring coming up in a few different ways, collaboration, problem solving. Oh, this is beautiful. I love it. I think that we are on, someone just put cheerleader. Good. I love a good cheerleader. Thank you, Sharon. I'm glad you put that in the chat as well. This is going to keep moving as we keep adding new words. And I have to say, I'm noticing with this group that we are all on the right track. We are all having a very good sense, some really good instincts around what coaching is. Now, I'm going to bring you back over here to my slides. By the way, thank you for playing with me. I love a little fun art piece that we could do together. Thank you so much for playing. Now, I am definitely going to give you the definition for coaching, but before I do that, I want to share with you all where that definition comes from. So many of you probably have heard, but if you haven't, that's okay. You'll learn about it today, of the International Coach Federation. So the International Coach Federation is the global governing body of coaching. And they are the ones who, they are known as the ICF. You might have heard people say the ICF. They are known as creating and establishing the code of ethics for coaching, the core competencies, which I'll share with you a little bit about what those are, and what they call the professional certified coach markers, or the PCC markers. Now, this is a really important piece because probably, as a lot of you have guessed or you've seen just going on in the industry, anybody can call themselves a coach, right? I could be a glasses coach. I could be a pen coach. I like to think of this funny story. I recently moved from New York City to nearby New Jersey. And one of the things, well, I have to say, New York City does a couple things really well. One, cabs. Two, cheap manicures. Three, garbage and trash. Now, hear me out. To a lot of people's surprise, New York City is very clean. They have a perfect, great, awesome system for garbage, for recycling. Okay. Now we get to New Jersey, and I'll be honest, New York to New Jersey, it's an adjustment. So one of the things that we got when we got here, believe it or not, was a flyer from our town that said you could have a recycling coach. So my husband comes in with the flyer and he says, "You're never going to believe it. We can get a recycling coach. Can you believe that?" And I thought to myself, anybody can coach. Anybody can be a coach. You could even have a recycling coach. So I'm telling you this story for a reason. It's really, really important to know that anyone could call themselves a coach. But what I'm talking about, ethical and good coaching, are people who are aligned with the International Coach Federation and who are aligned and following their code of ethics. They also are aware of what we call our core competencies of what makes up good coaching, and also are able to have the skills, or who have the skills and are able to reach certain markers of professional coaching. We call that the how. So it's important for us to know about that. And I just want to say, in my school, the coach training program for helping professionals, everything I do is accredited by the International Coach Federation. And that was very important to me while I was creating my school, because I want my people, exactly people like you, my helping professionals, I want us to be able to learn coaching in a way that is standardized and it is accepted by people around the world. So how do they define coaching? Here we go. Look at this smushy little baby right here on my chest. Okay. Now keep that image in your mind for a second. This is number one on the worksheet. If you're following along with the worksheet, Tabby, if you could go ahead, put the worksheet in the chat one more time in case people missed it. This is how ICF defines it. ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Now, why do I have a picture of this smushy baby on my chest? Which, by the way, I remember this moment so clearly, crystal clear. Every other day since then, I don't know, couldn't tell you much. That moment though, loved it. So smushy, right? By the way, maybe you've had an experience like this where maybe it was your own baby, or you got to hold a newborn baby or a small child that was close to you. And think of that moment when you hold that baby and they're close in your arms and you think to yourself, you can be anything. You can be anything. You could be the next president. You could be a scientist. You could be that, I don't know, you could win Chopped, whatever, right? We look at these children and we think what potential there is. Now, when we coach, we want to have that same energy that we bring to that moment where we see a newborn baby and we think, wow, now that's potential. And it's important to note because, for example, when I'm teaching in an MSW program and I'm teaching advanced practice, when my students come into class and we talk about what they're working on, the very first thing that we talk about when we talk about a client, and you would probably know this too, what's the presenting problem, right? What's the presenting problem? Here, we are having a totally different paradigm around how we're looking at clients because we start with, look at this potential. Okay, now it's important for us to know exactly what we're talking about, and we're going to look at 4 different disciplines and how they approach people, okay, and how they approach helping people. Number 2 on our worksheet. In front of us, we have coach, we have therapist, we have consultant, we have mentor. Now, I want you to think about these. You can even go ahead on your worksheet later on if you'd like. I wish we had more time where we could really flesh these out. But I want you to give some thought to what these professions are. What does a mentor do? What does a consultant do? What's the difference there? By the way, what does a therapist do? Go ahead and put some ideas in the chat. How would you define that? What would be a therapist? What would a therapist do? Would that be the same as a mentor, or a consultant, or a coach? Okay, someone in the chat says a therapist helps. True, but wouldn't a coach, wouldn't a consultant, wouldn't a mentor? Someone who treats mental health, processes the past, diagnosis, guidance through issues, that could maybe fit others right here. Clinical training, okay. A good listener could be a coach, a consultant, a mentor. Therapist provides therapy, okay, I like that. They assess risk, that's true. They assist, look at things. A therapist can coach, consult, and mentor when appropriate. Okay, Iris, I see that. Provide coping skills. Okay, these are great ideas. Now, okay, hold on to these because I want to give you a way to think about these 4 disciplines, right? Because sometimes these really do get mixed up. This is some work by David Rock, who writes Quiet Leadership. If you haven't heard about him, one of his books is called Quiet Leadership. And he takes these 4 disciplines, coaching, mentoring, consulting, and counseling, and he understands, or he describes it like this. And I thought this might be helpful for us. We have an x-axis and a y-axis. The x-axis, we're going from problem to solution. The y-axis, we're going from ask to tell. Okay, we're going to start here on the bottom right with mentoring. When you have a mentor is helping you get to a solution, but they tell you what to do. So, for example, I want to work at a bank. I call up my old buddy, Jimmy. Jimmy says, oh, you want to work in a bank? Okay, great. Take this course, take that course, go have lunch with this guy, put on a suit, bada boom, bada bing, you work at a bank, because that's what Jimmy did. So oftentimes there's experience with that, personal experience, and it moves to a solution. Now, if we go one over to consulting, and we've all heard about consulting is popular in the corporate world, in the business world, and we see it a lot now growing in nonprofits. A consultant is also going to tell you what to do, but a consultant helps you fix a specific problem. Okay, so a consultant will also tell you what to do, but they fix a specific problem. Now, a counselor or a therapist, and by the way, many of you had great ideas around this, and this is just one way to think about it, by the way. It might suit you and it might not. Either way is totally fine. With counseling, many times, not all the time, but for generalization's sake, when you go to a counselor, you go in with a problem. Like I said, my students always start with a presenting problem. And it is the counselor's job or the therapist's job to ask questions to help them solve that problem. Now, with a coach is also paid to ask the right questions. But instead of dealing with presenting problems, we're dealing with a solution. It is forward focused. We have a goal we want to attain. We are looking for the solution. Now, of course, we're going to have some problems along the way. And that's not to say that you can't have a problem or two, but it's just not our focus. We're not there necessarily to fix a problem. We're there to help someone reach a solution when we're working as a coach. So here are a few ways that coaching and therapy are different and some ways that they are the same. So with coaching, we focus on the future. We foster individual performance. And this is an important piece because we see this a lot in the business context. We can see this a lot, for example, with executives or what we call high potentials in the corporate world, people who are climbing the corporate ladder. It's very common for C-suite workers or executives to have coaching to help them along their way and to do better and continue to do better. Now, an important thing for us to know that when you coach, remember, coaching is not based on a healing model. Now, there could be things that feel healing, or there could be things that feel therapeutic, but coaching itself is not based on a healing model. And coaching can be sponsored, and this is what I mean by that. There was a time not too long ago, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, where I was coaching a lot of deans and provosts at universities. And it was common for me to be paid by the university and to work with these deans and provosts. And they obviously knew who I was working with. It was out in the open. We would have meetings about it. And someone else was paying for their coaching. We wouldn't have that in therapy, right? We wouldn't have a boss call us up and say, hey, I know you're a therapist. I have someone who works, over here. And, Billy really needs about, 12 weeks of some real, really good CBT. Can I pay for him to, right? We would say no, we would probably hang up on them, right? We would not take that as a therapist. Now let's move over to the therapy column. And I just want to say, I know I get a lot of pushback about this column. I understand. A lot of this is a generalization, and I want to acknowledge, I know that there are exceptions to the rule. I understand that. In general, therapy does focus on the past, or it uses the past much more than coaching. Now, I know we have modalities like CBT that isn't based on the past, or for example, in Gestalt therapy, we're focusing on the present. So I know that there are exceptions to the rule, but in general, and in comparison to coaching, therapy does focus on the past. We also know that in therapy, we are diagnosing. We oftentimes say we're treating dysfunction. It's based on the medical model, on medical ethics. We also know it's paid for by the individual. We wouldn't have sponsorship, for example, in therapy. And we also know and hope that the people who are therapists are licensed, and they are licensed by their state. Now, in coaching and therapy, these are the similarities. We are paid to ask the right questions, right? We both tackle difficult issues at work and at home, and we focus on individual behavioral change. We also explore what we call the subjective experience, or what that person's lived experience is in the world. Now, just like many of our helping professions, coaching is an amalgam of theories, right? So in coaching, we borrow a little from therapy, we borrow a little bit from consulting, we borrow a little from neuroscience, from organizational theory, from sports theory. All of those things we borrow from because, like I said, it's an amalgam. Now, when you think about coaching, and I know a lot of you want to start implementing coaching into your practice right now, here's just something to think about. There is coaching as the profession, and there is coaching as the modality. And this is just sometimes a way to think about when people come to me and they are, already a therapist and functioning as a therapist. They often say to me, well, can I use this in practice? And I say, sure. There are ways that we can implement coaching skills into an already functioning, for example, a different modality. So if you're a professional coach, you call yourself a coach, you're trained as a coach, you're certified as a coach. Hopefully, you're also credentialed by the ICF. Now, if we're using coaching as a modality, you might call yourself a therapist, or you might call yourself something else, right? You might have some training or some understanding of coaching, and you're using some coaching techniques in practice, right? So that doesn't mean that you only coach. It's kind of like, for example, if you mainly do psychodynamic work, but there are some times where you use CBT skills or you offer a CBT worksheet, I liken them to sort of be the same. Now, I also just want to say one thing. I'm your teacher. I'm not your lawyer. Write that down. She's your teacher, not your lawyer, right? Because I'm not saying, hey, and by the way, go have at it. I'm just saying these are things to think about. And I'm giving you permission to play around with it and to play around with it in a place where we might be able to come up with the answers together. Now, when we think about ethics, because one of the things that I said was we're going to make sure that we talk about the ethical congruence, I want to share a little bit with you about my own study, which was around the ethical congruence between social work and coaching. And I think this really lends itself to other professions as well. So in many of our helping professions, we know we need training. We know we need supervision. We know that we have to follow a code of ethics. We know if we jump down to the end here that we need to have records and clarity of roles, and we have to continue with professional development. Well, if you are a coach that is credentialed by the ICF, you are also following a code of ethics that really goes in the same direction of the codes of ethics that many of our own professions already follow. So I say this to prove the point that there's nothing here that is really rubbing. There is nothing here to say, oh, they are antithetical to each other. We know, we can see that in fact, the ethical guidelines are both going in the same direction for coaching and other helping professionals. And by the way, I'm happy to share my article with you. It was published by Social Work Today. You're welcome to look that up and to have a closer read to that. Now, I see some questions over here in the Q&A. Hold on, just need to wet the whistle. That is sometimes ethical questions that are coming up here, right? So for example, Joanna, I see, can you do coaching across state lines? Really good question and a really important one. The answer is yes, because as it turns out, the ICF, for example, and I've spoken to the ICF about this, the ICF never wants to be a license-based profession. They do not want coaching to be licensed. So you do not, as a coach, you do not have any state licensure, which means that yes, you can coach across state lines. Do you need malpractice insurance for coaching? If you have one as a clinician, I would. If you do anything, including coaching, I would have specific malpractice insurance for that. Okay, can you recommend good training programs? Yes, I want to get to that because that's really important to me. Will coaching ever truly be regulated like a psychotherapy? I am afraid not. I just don't think it's going to happen. So that puts us helping professionals in a really funky place because we already, hopefully you already hold a license in the state that you're in, right? So who do we answer to? We have to answer to our licensing board because we hold a state license. So that means that if you're calling yourself a coach or if you're coaching, you better be super duper clear and really well educated about what coaching is and what you're doing to make sure that you are acting as a competent worker. Okay, I'm going to come back to some of these questions. The questions are excellent. So here, you know what? I need to ask you all this, and and you're probably here for this. The traditional interventions that we use are not going to meet the needs for our clients post-COVID. It's just not going to happen. Something here has to shift. Something here has to change, and it starts with mindset. And the reason I'm bringing up mindset, and by the way, the ICF even says that a coaching mindset is needed in order to be a good coach. You need to have a coaching mindset, which is open, which is curious, which is flexible. And actually, we're going to go through a couple ideas around mindset to start seeing where your mindset is. Because some of you might be sitting here thinking, oh, well, I definitely want to, be a coach, but your mindset is stuck as a therapist. It's stuck as a social worker. It's stuck as a marriage and family therapist. When you become a coach, you need to cultivate a whole new mindset. Being a coach starts with you and your mindset. It's why in my program, in my school, the very first place we start in Coach Foundations is a 6-week program primarily around mindset. So number 3 on the worksheet, I want you to think about what a mindset might look like for a therapist and a mindset that looks like a coach. Yvette said, my mindset is ready to get unstuck. Yes, Yvette, high five to you. Here we go. Okay, Tabby's going to help us out with what we're doing next. We're playing a small game, which I love to do. It's called the mindset spectrum. Okay, so I'm going to put up a statement. You have 3 choices. You get to agree. You get to say unsure. You get to disagree. Tabby, I'm about to put up our very first one. So I am going to do a tester just to practice over here. And I am going to say Hawaiian pizza is the best pizza topping. Now, Tabby, go ahead and hit our poll just for fun. And we're going to move quickly here because we don't have a ton of time left. We can even pause right now, Tabby, and just show everyone what our results are for Hawaiian pizza. This one always cracks me up, but everyone always has a good laugh, and people usually have a pretty strong opinion about that. Okay, let's reset the poll. I'm going to move forward a couple of slides. And sorry, we didn't have time for the Tesla or New York City. I apologize. But here we go. This is one that is going to be important to the group. We're going to reset the poll. Thank you in advance, Tabby. And here is the statement. I want you to agree, disagree, or perhaps you are unsure. You need to be sick to get better. Go ahead and tell me, where is your mindset with this? You need to be sick to get better. Okay, let's end the poll and we can share what the results are. Oh, I love it. Okay, folks, here we go. I'm going to put up our next one. Let's pick a good one here for you all. I wish we had more time. We could go through all of these. Okay, here's our next one. Let's reset the poll. Helping clients is more important than my paycheck. Do you agree? Are you unsure? Do you disagree? Now, these are all controversial, and my guess is you're going through some of these thinking, oh man, I totally agree, and no one can talk me out of that. Or I totally disagree. Let's stop the poll and show our responses. And by the way, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. All we're doing is noticing our mindset right now. That's all we're doing. Here's our next one. Let's reset the poll. Therapeutic treatment should take 12 to 24 months. By the way, interestingly, wherever I'm doing this throughout the country, we have a different answer. Oh, you're going to love the results on this one. Okay, let's stop the poll, show the results. Okay, so almost 80% of us disagree that therapeutic treatment should take 12 to 24 months. And I don't know what you all think, but usually people say, it depends. It depends. What are the needs? It depends. How many sessions? It depends what it depends. Okay, something to notice. If you think it depends, then notice that's your mindset. That's what you think in terms of how quickly someone can cultivate change. Because if you were to ask a coach if treatment should take 12 to 24 months, a coach would probably laugh in your face and say, 2 years? What are they doing here for 2 years? Why would someone come see a therapist for 10 years or 12 years? Why? By the way, if you're getting defensive, good. I want you to get upset. I want you to get mad. I want you to be here with the mindset and struggle with it. Okay, here we go. We're going to do another. Let's do one more. Let's pick a good one for you guys. Tabby, let's reset the poll. And this is where I think we'll go. Sustainable and meaningful change takes time. Sustainable and meaningful change takes time. Tell me what we're thinking here, folks. Okay, let's share our results. Time is subjective. We got that in the chat. Okay. So interesting. 70% agree that sustainable and meaningful change takes time. And I want you just to think about the following. Now, by the way, and thank you, Tabby, we can take down the poll. Thank you. Round of applause for Tabby. Thank you so much for your help. Now, when you think about change and you think that it takes time, when you start incorporating or embracing a coaching mindset, our relationship to change shifts a little. And I'll be honest, and I hope it's okay to be honest with you all, but when I first started coaching and I come from, a clinical social work background, the idea that change could happen quickly struck me. And I want you to think about, what if change could happen quickly? What if it didn't have to take a long time? And I want you to think about, I want you to think about all of the things that we've talked about here, all of these ideas, and think about, how did you come to believe these ideas? And how do they inform your practice? And then I want you to pause and ask yourself, how would your life, your practice, your work change if you could think in a different way? What would it be like if you could shift things around by thinking in a different way? Someone says in the chat, quickly is still time. Some of the ways these questions are asked do not leave much room for context. Well, here's your context. We're talking about the mindset that a therapist has, which, as we saw in our poll results, that it could take longer than 12 to 24 months. And I'm here with the context of coaching against the backdrop of therapeutic process. When we think about change and when our clients come in and they want change, a coach can help you get there quickly. A coach can help you get there in 6 weeks, in 12 weeks. Now, by the way, you might be sitting here, and this is a really important point that I want to be really clear about. That someone just said, can some of you please just lighten up so the rest of us can enjoy the webinar? Well, here's the thing. If you feel stuck or if you feel really passionate right now, I want to say two things to you. Thank you for bringing your truth. This is what is helping us have a rich and honest conversation about the challenges of bringing therapy and coaching together. That's the first thing I want to say. I'm glad you're here and I thank you. And here's the second piece that I want to be the most crystal clear about. It's the following. If you are sitting here and you're listening to this and you're thinking, this lady is giving us so much garbage, she is not giving respect to the therapeutic process. And I believe change can happen in, years, and it depends on the people. And that if you are the kind of person who has a psychodynamic or a therapeutic process that's longer, this is what I want to say to you. Come in close, because I mean this. Stay there. We need you there. I said at the beginning, there's a time and place for everything. If you're listening to this and it doesn't appeal to you, then stay where you are. Your clients need you there. You are helping the world by acting on these beliefs. And if you're here and you're listening to me and you're thinking, yeah, I want to make more money. Yeah, I want this to be quicker. Yeah, I want to change my own relationship with change. Yes, I want to help my clients get change more quickly. Then guess what? We need you too. We need you to step up. So if you are on either side of the spectrum, no matter what, we need you there. And again, thank you for bringing your truth here today. It helps us. It helps us think about this. Now, I want you to think about this. What is your vision? Why are you here? What helped you get to this spot today? Right? It's number 5 on worksheet. I want you to just give some time to that thought. And I want you to think about this. What would it be like if your clients didn't need to be sick to get better? They could just get better. What would it be like if you were massively compensated for your work? Massively. None of these 40K entry-level jobs. What would it be like if treatment was quick, it got to the heart of the matter, but we didn't water down the work? What would it be like if we could honor the past as we needed, but we were future focused? What would it be like if we could create change as quickly as we wanted to? What would it be like if you could walk into work and feel confident that you knew how to help someone and you had a plan for it? And what would it be like if you knew how to get unstuck? I see the comments in the chat. People want to get unstuck and they want to get their clients unstuck too. Well, if you're feeling stuck, you got to hang out with me more because I'm a lot of things, but I ain't stuck. And also, what would it be like if all of this was important to you and I could give you a roadmap of it all? Right? And I want you to think about this, number 6 on your worksheet. Think about your caseload. Open up your calendar, go through whatever, what you need to go through. Who could benefit on your caseload from a shifted mindset? Who could benefit from thinking about things in a different way? Who could benefit from new actions and behaviors? Right? Think about that. Think about how you might be able to use it. Now, go ahead and put one word in the chat of what you think coaching is now. And by the way, I'll take any answer. It could be garbage. It could be nothing. It could be hope. Oh, I see. Hopeful, options, helping, exciting, creativity, open door, hopeful. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So strengths-based, so empowering. Yes, thank you. And by the way, if you're here, give voice to if you disagree, because I'm here for that too. Everyone is welcome to this conversation. And again, I'm happy you're here and I'm glad to see that we're getting a few things out of this conversation. So you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, Liz, I buy it. Now what? Right? Should I really pursue coaching? Well, these are the 3 things you need to do if you are struggling with these questions of should I pursue coaching and could I be a coach? Number 1, you need to investigate your own belief around potential. You have to. Your health, your happiness, your money, your business, your life, your love, your body. Investigate your own beliefs. We're getting into the countertransference here. Number 2, you have to examine your own personal and professional values and biases around change. You have to. It's where we start because it's all mindset. And the third piece is expanding your own mindset with a trusted mentor. Because like I always say to people, we can't cut our own hair. Well, we could, but it might not look good in the back. Sometimes we need that help with someone who can point us into the direction of where we might be missing things. So I want to extend a small invitation to you all. If you're sitting here thinking, this sounds cool, I want more, I want to make an invitation to you, because to be honest with you, I would feel irresponsible if I dropped all of this in your lap and I didn't tell you a little bit about what I do. I want to invite you to come learn more about my program. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it because I want you to imagine having more clarity around coaching. I want you to imagine expanding your own coaching skill set. Imagine rewiring your own mindset around change. Imagine confidently entering this role without having to hide things or to say, yes, I coach, or I don't know, or don't tell anyone. I want you to imagine upping your game. I want you to think about all of those things. This is a little bit about what I'm teaching. Coaching Foundations, we start November 1st, by the way. You can learn more about this, drliz.coach/foundations. It's a 6-week process, and this is what we do. We look at coaching and the self. We think about ourselves and how we show up for ourselves and others in terms of change. We talk about what it means to plant seeds for a coaching mindset, because it is certainly different than a therapist. We also not only plant those seeds, but we figure out how to grow your mindset, to grow into more abundance, to more possibility, to more potential, just like that smushy little baby on my chest, right? Now, we also talk about coaching presence. If you are here to, like I say, are you standing for change or are you standing for stagnation? That is up to you. If you want to help people with change, and if you want to help people with change quickly, then this is exactly where we dive into that. And our sixth session is what I call owning your chair, which I'm going to talk about in 1 second. Right? By the way, not for you, no problem. If you're interested, I'd love to have you. But like I said, if you want to start today, this is the QR code for 101 coaching questions, drliz.coach/Pessy. And by the way, you can start using these questions tonight. If you have a session later today, download these questions, play around with it, see what it's like. Okay, now this is what I want to say to the group. I know you're looking at this slide and you're thinking, 2023, is this woman oriented to time and place? Yes, she is. Now, this is why I have 2023 up here, okay? 2022, it's in a hop, skip, and a jump. We're almost there. 2023 is just over a year away. I want you to think about, where do you want to be in 2023? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a professional? How do you want to show up in this world? How do you want to show up for your clients? How do you want to show up for yourself? Because we need to create a vision for that now so we can reverse engineer it. Now, by the way, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of books like this. I have a whole PhD with books like this, with the highlights and the underline. And maybe it's just me and you'll tell me, but I don't think any of us, go to the beach and say, oh, my summer reading is I'm going to read all of my highlights. We don't really do that. This is what I want to say to you about today. Do not let this be shelf help. Do not let what we learn today sit on your shelf. If this is something that's exciting, if this is something that feels in alignment, if this is something you want to learn more about, do not let this sit on the shelf. Be the person you want to be when 2023 hits and you want to be doing different things professionally, ethically, practically, all of these different types of things for yourself. Now, I said before, my big Own Your Chair, it's the 6th week of my course, and it's something that I think about so dearly, and I want to share it with all of you because, and by the way, I'm seeing so many amazing questions in the chat. I wish we had time for those. Are the techniques evidence-based? Oh, 100%. So much of what we do in coaching is absolutely evidence-based. Y'all, there are good therapists and bad therapists, good coach and a bad coach. The mindset of saying it is a scam, it can work either way. We have to look at the fact there are good people who are wanting to coach people. That is where we're at. You got it. By the way, I agree with you too, Ash. There are really bad therapists and there are really good ones. There are terrible coaches and there are really good ones. I think all of that is totally right on. It is what you make it. And this is going to help bring us together right now, because my wish for everyone here is what I call own your chair. This is what I mean by that. We all sit in our chair. I'm sitting in my chair right now. We all have our therapist chair. And my wish for you is to sit in your own brilliance and own your chair. Now, that might be that you want to coach from your chair. And I say, yes, own it. It might be coaching is not for me. I'm sticking to the modality that I choose that I'm already implementing. And I would say, yes, own your chair. We need you. But if you feel like something is off and you're missing something that's stopping you from owning your chair, my wish for you is to figure that out, to have some deep soul searching so you are able to own your chair. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure to have all of you over at my house right now. I'm going to stop sharing. I know we have so many questions. A lot of us have questions that we have been asking. I'm happy to stick around for an extra 5 minutes if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. But I'm happy to jump over to the Q&A. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Download those questions. Come on over. Join me at lizlasky.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, here we go. I'd love to hear more about your statement that in order to be an ethical coach, you must go through the ICF or training accredited by the ICF. I feel like gatekeeping to me, giving the cost of a lot of these trainings are. Yes. Well, Lauren, I want to say, if you're still here, hello. Thank you for such a thoughtful question. In a lot of ways, I agree with you. And this is something that in some ways I struggle with too, because I think that when we are professionals and we're doing something, oh, good, you're here. Okay, good. When we're professionals and we're doing something that has nobody that is regulating it, and while I also don't always feel 1,000,000% about the ICF, sorry, ICF, if you're here, I'm sorry. I love you and I hate you. I think you know that, right? I think we still have to hang on to something, because my biggest concern is when, like I said, I want this to be done ethically, is that we have to follow the code of ethics that already exists. And you know what? Along the way, if we find something that is better and a better fit, then perhaps we move to there. But for right now, that's how I feel about it. And yes, I agree that there's definitely a lot of trainings that are expensive. That's part of why, for example, I'm doing this talk for free. I teach around the country for free often. I want to bring this to agencies. I want to bring this to communities that can't afford coaching. So thank you, Lauren. Really great question. Yes, I understand that, Lauren. And by the way, not totally settled. It's what we have right now. I totally hear you. Thank you for bringing that up. Can you recommend some good coach training programs? Sure. I don't know if you heard about the coach training program for helping professionals. This is the only coach training program I know that is made by helping professionals for helping professionals. So to me, it is the place to get training if you're a helping professional and you want to coach. Do you need insurance for coaching? Like I said, I'm your teacher, not your lawyer, but I do think that it's a good idea always to be insured. Are there age limits on the range of people you can coach? Oh, Julie, I love this question. So great. Like I said, I worked in New York City schools for 15 years and I coached teens and kids a lot. So I think that kids love coaching. It works really well. As an LCSW, does my LCSW license override a certificate with the ICF? I worry about working across state lines as a coach while I maintain my LCSW. So Nicole, this is what a lot of people do. They see their therapy practice and they see their coaching practice as two separate entities. So that's something to think about, that it's not necessarily something that's all in one. Sometimes people who have a coaching practice or a therapy practice, they keep those separate. So something to think about, Nicole. Could we mix and match and get certified? Could I switch from CEC to you? Absolutely. Yes, you can. Anything that's accredited by the ICF, all of those are worth the exact same hours. Therapy is concerned with the past and present. Yep, absolutely. Code of ethics of coaching. Is there one? RE dual relationships? Yep, there's a whole statement about relationships. I've come across quotes who have no qualms with coaching people they have personal relationships with. Yes, that is a really good point. In that instance, yes, it is a little bit different in terms of boundaries and personal relationships. But of course, we do try, and I certainly encourage people to keep your coaching relationships as professional as possible. Okay. Is there a difference between coaching accreditation and governing certification in Canada? Hi, Jackie, also a Canadian, now living in the States, but a Canadian. So in terms of the International Coach Federation, it is the international global governing body. So there is one in the world, it is the ICF. And so if you become accredited, that is the place that you could go with. I'm actually not sure about if there's anything in Canada. I would have to look into it. Okay, what is the typical cost of a coaching program? They range from $1,000 to I've seen $18,000. So it is certainly a range. Do you have a separate informed consent for coaching versus different informed consent for therapy? Yes, I do. Good question, Andrea. Don't do a ton of therapy these days. I mostly do coaching, to be honest with you. When I coach, I always have a contract. We don't always see that in the therapeutic world, but I always have a contract when I coach. Absolutely. And there's a statement in there that says, hey, by the way, what you're about to engage in is not therapy. So I personally do have that. Again, I'm your teacher, not your lawyer. If you're a licensed therapist and a coach, how do you change your mindset? You can't just let go of one of them. Ain't that the truth? Mindset work is something that's difficult to do on your own. So having the support and having someone ask you the right questions is paramount. So I think that, I believe in what I call the 1% rule, which is we shift things 1%, 1 degree, one baby step at a time. So we go slowly, and I know exactly the right questions to ask therapists to help them shift that mindset. Okay, what else? Generally, does coaching work with personality disorders or psychoses? Great question, Irene. I haven't seen a ton of literature on this. Like I said, this is why I say there's a time and place for everything. I don't know truly. I haven't seen any studies where they've used coaching with personality disorders or psychoses. So I honestly, I feel like I can't answer that, but I'd be happy to look into that if you emailed me. How is this different than solution-focused therapy? Great question. Love it. It is so, it is close. They are kissing cousins. They are part of it. Solution-focused therapy and coaching go hand in hand. I think one of the things with solution-focused therapy is we have the word therapy in it. There's something therapeutic about it. When we coach, and remember, we have coaches all over the world who are not therapists, right? They are just coaching. So there is no therapeutic context. There is no healing context. There is no there's nothing based in a healing modality. So great question. What's the best social media platform to build a coaching practice? I don't know. Up to you. I never used one and I built a practice. So I actually don't know. Whatever works for you. What is the best coach training certification? I'm going to have to say the coach training program for helping professionals. It is accredited by the ICF. It is made for helping professionals by helping professionals. Is there another class after 11/1? It's for 6 weeks. We start on November 1st. We go for 6 weeks. It is 12 to 1:15 Eastern. We go for 6 weeks. How many hours for each class? An hour and 15. It's supposed to be easy peasy, so you can jump on actually at lunch. Can you put the QR code back on the screen? Oh, I don't know if she's still there. That is required for a coach to be on your 6-week course. To become a certified coach, well, we all start with coaching foundations. After coaching foundations, there is a longer part called coaching mastery. Coaching mastery takes between 6 and 9 months, where we go through the entire program from top to bottom of how to coach someone, how to use coaching in a session, how to set up a coaching engagement. And then for some people, after mastery, we go to what's called integrated coaching practice, which is kind of like supervision. I liken it to supervision. You don't have to do that. We also have a leadership track for people who are not in practice, people who are more macro, who are working in the community. We have more people who are who go into the leadership track. So we have, like I said, we have foundations. I call it, for the coach curious, it's the appetizer. Coaching mastery, that's dinner. You could be done after dinner, but if you feel like you want a dessert, you can hang around and you can join us for integrated practice. Okay, I'll take one more question. And then I'm so sorry, but I have to jump off today. Okay. Why does coaching pay better than therapy? Oh, Rhonda, this is such a wonderful question. And I wish I had an easy answer. I could answer this. I'm going to leave you a way to think about it, because I'm not quite sure with the time I could answer it well. But I want you to think about both therapy and coaching in a systemic context and in a practical context, right? So in the United States, for example, we have a lot of reasons why we like to use the insurance companies. We have a lot of reasons why we like to keep people in places where they don't reach their potential, right? That's the systems view. So that's something really to think about. If I'm already a trained coach and certified coach, do you offer coaching on my level? Yes, then you need integrated practice or the leadership track. That is for people who are already ICF trained, who are already a coach, who are using coaching now, and they just want to be able to get into a deeper practice. Can you link the training? Yep, it's at lizlasky.com. I will put it in the chat. You can go to my website and learn all about it, lizlasky.com. The average is $150 an hour. I think it depends on where you live. Psychotherapists in Canada charge $150. It varies. I mean, I've seen coaching that can be $75 an hour, and I've seen coaching that has been $50,000 for an engagement, right? So it varies. It absolutely varies. I've seen therapy for $25 a session, and I've seen therapy for $500 a session. So I think it definitely shifts where you are in the country and what you're up to. All right, folks, if you're still here, you stayed for the after party. Thank you so much. Come on over to lizlasky.com. Come on over, sign up for those coaching questions. I hope I see you starting November the 1st. I would absolutely love to have you back over at my place for some coaching, for some shifting of the mindset, truthfully, to help you get what you want. So thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I hope we cross paths soon, and have a wonderful week. Happy Monday. Bye, everybody.